With your vehicle safely raised and supported, take off all 6 lug nuts using a 21mm socket, and then remove the wheel. If your wheel is stuck on like this one, go ahead and thread a lug nut back on. Get a large rubber mallet and hit it from the backside. Always hit the tire, not the rim. There we go. And remove your wheel. Once the wheel is off, the first thing I want to do is break free this fitting here. That's easiest done with the caliper still mounted. See, this is what I don't want happening, is the fitting twisting with the line. So I've already sprayed it with some rust penetrant, and I can see that if I hold the line, it's actually still twisting the line right inside of the fitting, and that's not a good sign. Otherwise I'll have to make a new line. So a little trick is get yourself a small hammer and just tap on the line. That sometimes can break free the rust buildup that's between the line and the fitting, and that can help you free up this fitting. Okay, let's try again. Nope, it's twisting the line. I worked at it for a while. I know it's not going to come off. So if yours comes off, go ahead and take this off. It should disconnect from the caliper. But if yours does not come off, here's what you can do. If you follow it up, you have the line to hose connection right there. You can try disconnecting it there. I worked at it a little bit off camera. I had a lot of trouble taking this off, and I was worried that I was going to just have to make a new brake line here, but I ended up getting it. The wrench stripped out this fitting, but with some locking pliers I was able to grab onto it and break it free. As you can see, I can spin it. It's not taking the line with it, so that's perfect. I'm going to leave it right there. Next, disconnect the bolt that holds this bracket on for the brake line. And now we can continue to removing the brake pads. The reason I tried to do the line first is because if something goes wrong and I know it's not going to work, well, if you're in your driveway, you have to go get brake lines so you can make a new brake line. But if you have it all apart, you can't put it back together. So take a small screwdriver, remove the 2 cotter pins that hold these slide pins in. Remove the top pin first, and then the spring that pushes the brake pads out from each other and away from the rotor. And then remove the bottom slide pin. And lastly, remove the brake pads. Now with a 17mm socket, remove these 2 bolts that hold the caliper to the knuckle. Leave this one in just a few threads and remove this one. Okay, take the caliper off. And set it aside. I'm going to put it right on top of the backing plate right here. And I'm going to take my new caliper and mount it on right now. It'll be easier to work with while it's mounted. Snug it up. Torque it to 90 foot-pounds. With the caliper dismounted, go ahead and remove this fitting the rest of the way. Keep in mind, brake fluid will come out. If you want to, you can pinch off this brake hose. Just be very gentle, because sometimes this can collapse them internally and then you need to replace it. Okay, that's disconnected. Now you can disconnect the line from the caliper here. And again, my issue was that this fitting was stuck to the line, so I can twist the line all I want. So that's why I disconnected it here, so I can do this and save the line. Go drain your caliper. On the back side of this new caliper, remove the yellow cap. With this line off, I was able to relieve pressure between the fitting and the flare on the end, so I was able to break this fitting free. I sprayed some penetrant, so that's perfect. So now I have 2 free spinning fittings on the line, which is perfect. So I can now start this fitting in here. Okay, I want to leave that still loose a little bit, and I'm going to start this fitting into the hose. Next, I'm going to start this fitting into the hose, Okay, leave that loose also. So the reason I'm not snugging up the two fittings is because I don't want to twist the line when I position this bracket into place. I want the fitting to turn around the line. So remove your pliers if you put any on, then secure this bracket into place. Make that tight. Now with that mounted, I can snug up this fitting nice and tight, and then come down to this one, make this one tight as well. Okay, at this point with an 8mm, go ahead and open up your bleeder screw. And I'm going to let this gravity bleed. What that's going to do is it's going to pull the fluid down through the line, up into the caliper, and out the bleeder screw. That's going to get rid of any air. While that's happening, I'm going to install the pads. The new caliper comes with new slider pins as well as new cotter pins for the slider pins. So take those out, remove the sliders, take just a little bit of grease and put it right here where the pads slide down. Just make sure you don't get it on the rotor, and then slide your pads in. The inner pad is going to be the one with the wear indicator. That's going to go on the bottom. The new caliper also came with a brand new pad spreading spring. If you want to put a little bit of grease on these pins, that's up to you. You can insert the pin through the pad and then through the top of the spring, compress the spring, put the pin through the other side of the spring, through the other pad, and through the caliper bracket. And before I lock in this pin, I'm going to lock in the spring into these holes here. Make sure these ears go over the pad like that. And put in the cotter pin. That locks this pin in place so it doesn't come out. Very important, otherwise you lose your brake pads. And insert the bottom pin as well. And lock it in. Make sure the cotter pin goes in all the way. All right, perfect timing. I have a steady trickle of fluid coming out of here, so I can close this up. Of course, I'm gonna have to do a full brake bleed at this point, which consists of pumping up the brake pedal. Well, first check your master cylinder, make sure that's full. If not, top it off with DOT3 brake fluid. And then you're gonna need someone to pump up the brake pedal for you 3 to 4 times. And then once they have done that, have them hold pressure on the brake pedal, open up the bleeder screw with pressure being held, fluid's gonna come out, let the brake pedal go all the way to the floor. Once it reaches the floor, close this up, pump up again, and then so on and so forth, hold, open, pump, hold, open. And you wanna do this until you have no air coming out of this bleeder screw. At the end, cap this off, double check your master cylinder and make sure that is full, and let's go put on the wheel. Next, get the wheel back on. Start on all 6 lug nuts, and then I'll bottom them out, torque them to 83 foot-pounds.